Seems legit.
Good morning, my legitimates. Welcome back to my channel. I assume I did this in the morning. It's morning where I am now, pre-recording it. Today we are going to do something that is simple and yet epic. It is a cushion, but not just any cushion. If you have a closer look, we have machine quilted the cushion with monstera leaf pattern that I found on Etsy. A link is in the description. I thought this was going to look epic, and I was not wrong. So we have used a panel. These are the sugar gliders or flying possums. And then this is the coordinating fabric on the back. It has all the adorable like baby animals. I really love this print. So you can see if I get close up, I have quilted this side as well. I have made it quite a firm quilting, as in I layered two things, and we've just put a rainbow zip along the bottom because I thought it looked really cool as a rainbow one. So let's get started on making it. Alright guys, ignore my mess. It's totally just going to be a thing for the coming weeks. So these are what I currently have left over after I made my first bag, which you would have seen. So we all just got sent, I assume, a little piece of this, but that's fine because I have plans. So the first thing I want to do is turn this into a quilted cushion with this on the back. Now, there's lots of ways you could do cushions. You could do a quilting style where we add a border, but I actually just want this to be the total focus. So what I'm going to do is not cut this, as crazy as that sounds. It is too big. So we're doing a 14-inch cushion. So from this, I could probably cut off the excess there. But as far as this way goes, we won't need anything kind of from there and there. But because I don't want to waste this, because I want to see if I can get one more item out of it, I am actually going to cut this 1 inch larger than I needed. So I'm going to cut this at 15 inches, which is here. And I'm coming all the way down so that I'm not wasting anything down the bottom. They should pretty much come off as individual pieces because I got right on that edge. Like that. And then we're going to come up and I'm going to do 15 inches tall. So this is just 1 extra inch than what I said I needed. Like that. And then over. And I'm just using this guide to slide along the edge of the fabric. So that's technically, I mean, we will have to trim this down, but it also might gather a little bit when we're doing the quilting. So I've just cut it a little bit bigger. Now, if you really want to, you can grab this one and then I'm going to fold it in half, find the center of the design, which should be about, no, should be about there, one would assume. Panel in half. Put the halfway like that. So if I wanted to, I could come along, and again, you don't have to do this. I was planning on leaving it, but in case you just don't want to, trim that off and twist. Now I am going to need a second piece that I do not plan on quilting. And it's just so instead of having the zipper right at this bottom seam, we are actually going to have it like a little bit up. So to do that, I'm just going to take the bit that I already know is wide enough and I'm going to cut a 2-inch strip. Now I'm not going to quilt this. You obviously could, but you won't see most of it, and then I just really can't be bothered. Right, so that will come down the bottom. There's no point in matching the design because, oh look, see, I've got enough left over to do something else. But I won't be quilting the bottom because it really doesn't feel worth it. So now we need to get all our quilt stuff. Here we go. Alright, so we have the 8x8 hoop, which is obviously not going to do all of it. We're going to have to multi-hoop, that's fine. I went and bought some batting. I want it super squishy, so I actually plan on doubling this over. I'm going to ignore that edge there. I also need basting spray to help kind of temporarily glue everything together. For those that don't know what basting spray is, it is for quilting and you can sew through it and it won't gum up your needle. So that will be great for the embroidery machine. I have also purchased the embroidery design. It's Monstera leaves because I feel like I might actually use that again. So I have purchased that from Etsy. The link is down below. And I've just got some fabric that I'm going to use to back it. Now, it's not very exciting fabric. I bought this really, really cheap a really long time ago. I have used it as lining in several bags. I still have heaps less. So now's kind of a good opportunity to get rid of it. Is probably a good way to look at that. So, first things first, I'm going to take the batting and I'm going to open it up and I'm going to spray it with this. You do need to shake it up. I did mainly shake it before I turn the video back on. Now this will gum up and get on everything, so try not to like overspray it in places. You also shouldn't spray it for a long time in an enclosed area. You will, you know, give yourself issues. Now, you can see that did not work. But it will separate and then stick back together again. So the idea is that we're trying to get it actually in half. So if I find where half is, I'm going to open that out because that just did not work at all. It's sticking to itself, which is cool, but not really what we want. So that looks like it's half there. So I'm going to start at the half point and then just smooth it down so that we don't get lumps and bumps and crazy bits. Ta-da! And then theoretically, if I fold this in half again, see, it's stuck to itself again. Basting spray really does work. So the idea is that you want it just a little bit bigger than what we're going to quilt in case it kind of tucks in. So that fits. It shall be glorious. I'm going to take some scissors, which I probably should have said we needed. And I'm just going to cut it in half. Alright, so now we've got one double layer for the back and one double layer for the front. Ta-da! It's fabulous. So, again, with the bastings, I always just shake it. It's probably a good thing to do, but also habit. And then I'm just going to lay this on kind of roughly in the middle, but I'm really not too worried about it. Like so. Smooth it out, make it fabulous. One, almost. I'm going to do this one, and then we'll pull out the backing. Now, I could maybe get away without the backing, but I don't want to, so we just won't. Alright, smooth it down. Any wrinkles in the fabric will most likely just dissolve away. Then, actually what might be easier is to open this out first. As you can see, I still have a lot of this, and I still won't get rid of it all today. I'm actually hoping one day that this will go with something from the seemingly ugly videos. Alright, so I'm going to spray the batting rather than the fabric. You really want to make sure you concentrate on those edges because that's where it's more likely to lift than the middle. Like that. Smooth it out. And then I'm just going to hack around it. What I absolutely want to make sure of is that the back doesn't move. That's good enough. I am wasting a little bit of fabric here, but I really don't care. This was very cheap fabric. And to be honest, I'm kind of sick of looking at it in my stash. I have used it. I'm sure I've seen it in videos that I've done. And it's not that it's not pretty, it's just the least prettiest of all the things that I own, in my opinion. Obviously that's biased because I like weird stuff, but still, I stand by my sentence. If you want to check the back to make sure that nothing untoward's going on. Now, if you were making an actual quilt, you would iron that away, but I'm really not worried because this is purely just so that the batting has something to kind of stick to. You're not going to see the inside. Nobody's looking inside the cushion. It's just that simple. You don't have to chop that bit off, but I'm going to. Now, here's where we get into like maths. The hoop is an 8x8 hoop to design it. But this is obviously wider than 8 inches. So I'm going to have to multiple hoop it. So I'm going to find the center of the design, which is here. Now this is erasable. Please make sure you use something erasable. And I'm using pen rather than the chalk dust because I won't be able to see it as well. And it is important that I can see it. So this is the center line, and I'm going to draw it, but we're not actually going to put anything here. You just need to be able to see it because you just do. All right, so the center is now here and here. No, wait. Yes, no, that's right. So I'm drawing the center lines. You could also have pre-ironed these. But I'm good. Okay, so now it's in 4 quadrants, and the quadrants are 7.5 inches by 7 inches. Again, we're ignoring this bit, and it will all be cut down. So now in the center of this, I want to find the 4-inch mark. So this will be the center of the hoop. I know this seems crazy, but I'm going to have to hoop it 4 times. I mean, I could maybe hoop it... Nah, I still have to do it 4 times, so I might as well put the design in the center. I mean, I could put the design in the center and then do little half ones. But I'm going to do it this way. So many options, depending on the size of your stuff. Like, you could also just do the 8 inches in the middle and leave the rest unquilted. I'm essentially doing a giant grid of 4 inches because 4 is half of 8, if you're wondering why I've picked 4. So this is what we get. It looks amazing. It looks complicated, but I promise it's not really. So, of our beautiful grid now, here, 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 and here are the center points for when we hoop it. So that's what I've just drawn. The rest of the lines you could actually erase right now if you wanted to, so you could get rid of this line and this line so that you just had the other ones if there's too many lines and it's overly complicated. But we needed them so that we could find the center points of the other 4. We will do this again to the other piece, but you don't need to watch it twice. I also am going to use basting, tearaway stabilizer. That's not it, is it? Oh no, it is that one. I have so many rolls of stuff, it's getting outrageous. So, I'm gonna grab my hoop, and I'm very classy, so all I do is cut around it with a little bit around the edges. You can obviously cut this properly and measure everything, but I find this just quicker. So I am going to need a lot of these. I'm gonna need 8 pieces of this, so maybe while the quilt thing is embroidering, I can do it then. So, I'm going to turn it over so it's convex and not concave, because that will be easier to stick this to. Then we're just going to pick one of the 4 corners and kind of put it in the middle as best we can, like that. Now, these hoops have a top. My one has like a bubble here, so you can tell. And then I'm just going to line these lines up with the center of this corner one. So we're going to do this section first, then the others. You can do it in any order you want. I'm also going to have to loosen my hoop a lot because it's currently set up for just one layer of stabilizer to go into it. It's not designed to have all the batting and the fabrics. So you really want to open that up. That's where I want it to sit. Center, 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 center. And if you need to, because you technically can't see the line, you can grab your ruler. I was looking for it, it's right in front of me. Right, and draw the line onto the batting so that you can physically see where it is you're going to. Right, so just extend that line all the way out so that you know it's going to be in the center point. I don't do this often, but this is how I do it when I have to. Another option we have, and I think I'm going to do it today, is double-sided tape. I'm sure I've convinced you all to buy some at this point. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a piece on the hoop. I actually learned this at an embroidery place. They said they do this to help center designs. Now usually I don't need this because I float things, but when we don't floating things is where you hoop just the stabilizer, and then I use basting spray and double-sided tape to stick the vinyl on top. I always hoop quilting stuff and I always float vinyl stuff because the vinyl will get like dents and marks. Now this one piece, or the 4 pieces, this round of double-sided tape will actually work for a few hooping goes, and then you can just pull it off once it's not sticky anymore. So, flip it over, again, find the top, although this pattern, it probably wouldn't matter if I didn't have the top exactly. So, line it up there, there, so that all the lines are in line, and then just push it down. And now when I lift it up, it will behave itself better. I'm going to grab all the layers, so I'm making sure I've got all the layers, and I like to grab in opposite corners. It's just my thing. And then you can see that the hoop's not moving like it normally would, which makes this part a lot easier. Okay, I actually opened it too far, so I am now going to... Did I open it too far? It's so hard to tell sometimes. There is a lot of layers here, and you want it to be firm. And so we're in. And all the lines still line up because it's stuck. So now we just need to go to the embroidery machine. Alright, I'm going to load the hoop in. Slowly but surely. And make sure that my stabilizer is not going in as well, because it was trying to. I'm going to sew, and it's going to move to the center. And I can see I have a little bit of wiggle room to get to the center. So that's me done. This is the design showing up over here. It might be too bright to see. And I've picked a green thread because a lot of this is quite green. All right, I've just put a little bit of the quilting in so you can get like a close-up look. I change right here to get even closer so you can see. I think it looks awesome. And this only takes 4 minutes to stitch out according to my machine. So there you go. All right. So it kind of fell out of the hoop as I was pulling it out of the machine. That's fine. We're going to flip it over, and you're just going to pull off the tearaway. Now, if you had a big enough piece of this, you probably wouldn't even need the tearaway. But mine's not, so we are. And it looks extra squishy because we did the 2 layers of the batting. You don't have to do that either. Everything I do is pretty optional. This will tear off, it'll just take ages. But if you look from this side, you can see like it's nice and squishy. It looks amazing. And so now I'm just going to repeat that to the rest of these and to the back piece because I think it's going to look very, very cool. And then we will go and I'll show you how to turn it into a cushion. Right, so we have quilted everything. It looks amazing. It's nice and squishy. This still needs to be cut down. All I did was cut off the excess outside of the fabric. And this piece, I did decide to do just like a swirl pattern just to attach the batting because it can't be the only piece that didn't have it. So I also did trim off the sides, and then I thought better of it and thought maybe we should do it as part of the video. So, ruler. Also, this is the width that we need. So this is 14 inches wide, but I need to make this 14 inches tall. So I'm just going to put, there's 14 to there. So I just need to, I'm just trying to center it up. So I might actually just be able to use the top of this and then trim off the bottom. Trim that down and then turn it this way. 14 inches from the bottom here goes right there. I'm on like a lump under my table, which is not helping my cause at all. 14 inches and 14 inches. So that is now the total size. I'm going to grab this and I can just lay this on top and trim down so that they are the same size. Ugh, that's not going to work. Maybe it's just a bit thick, so we can just come along with scissors, as long as you've got decently thick scissors. Now, some of the edges of this got a little bit skewy because when I was embroidering it, it lifted up and tried to go underneath, which was just not okay. Messed up my whole plans. So I had a few little instances on the edges, but for the most part, we're going to cut them off, so it's not a big deal. All right. So those now, look how thick they are. They're going to be fantastic. Then I've got this bad boy. So again, I just put the swirl pattern because I was watching this and there's like a swirl pattern that goes from leaf to leaf. And this wasn't thick enough that you'd get all the leaves on anyway. And this is just so that our zipper isn't right at the bottom of the cushion, because then you'll see it from the front. I mean, the other option is though that if we don't do it, then you can have both sections out. Oh, see, now that I think about it, maybe I do want the zipper at the bottom, because that way I can flip it. So either we have this side at the front or that side. But if I put this down the bottom, it won't look as cool and you'll know it's the back. So after all that effort, maybe I will leave it out. Anyway, now that they're cut to size, so what I do, for anybody that lives in Australia, you can buy size 14 cushions from Spotlight. That just means that they're 14 inches, which is why I make this 14 inches. We're going to take about a ½ inch off each side, which just helps to make the pillow a little bit more fluffy. You don't want them to be too flat. I know people that actually put 2 cushion inserts per cushion just to have them like super fluffy. It's a bit much for me, but the principle still stands. So whatever size insert you buy, you just need to make it that size. Now, if you wanted to use this as your insert and it's obviously not wide enough, you could add a border of this around to make it bigger and then center it, and then put all of the machine applique on it. So I actually think I won't do the bottom strip. But if you were to do the bottom strip, you put the zipper on here and then on here, and then you just take the excess and fold it over so that it would hide the actual zipper. I will do that in another video because I was going to do it now, but I've decided that it'll be better without it. So let's put the zipper on first and then we'll sew around. Now it's quite a rainbowy looking print. So I'm thinking a really rainbowy zip. Now obviously you don't have to do that. I could pick something pale to match the front, but I'm not going to. So we're going to measure it up. You just want it as wide as the bottom. You could also put zipper tabs if that was your jam. So many ways to do it. Actually, do I want zipper? No, I don't need zipper. We'll just do it the normal way. So many options. Making a cushion is not just making a cushion. There's so many extra bits you can potentially do. I'm just going to grab a basic zipper pull since it's a cushion and not a bag. One side, the other side. You also might want to think about if you care which way the rainbow goes. I don't. So that's fine. So with right sides up, I'm just going to put the zipper right sides down and stitch it right at the edge. Now again, if you wanted to, you could actually overlock around the edges of these if you were worried about fraying when washing. If you don't, you might just have to hand wash it, which is not the end of the world, but I mean, it might be for you, depending on how much you hate hand washing, I guess. When I get to the zipper pull, I'm just going to put it away from where I was. Stitch, back stitch. Trim off the tails because we just don't want them hanging around. And so then this one, we're going to grab the bottom of this one as well. I'm going to zip that back up so there's no gap, just because it makes me mildly uncomfortable. Can I also just say that pulling all of the stuff out of this was a nightmare. So for the second one, I actually went back and cut a bigger piece so that I could hoop it without stabilizer, because again, it was a nightmare. Okay, so I'm right near the zipper pull. So I'm just going to lift up my presser foot, zip it past a little bit. You don't have to go a big way. And then line up the edge. Now, if you don't want to just hand do it like I am, you can put clips on it. I'll put clips around the edge. I'm sure it'll make everybody feel more comfortable. Stitch, back stitch, trim. Ta-da! Right. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to the opposite side to where the zipper pull is and add my clips here. Haven't turned my fan on in here. It's actually quite warm. Right, opposite sides of the zipper, because the zipper's not going anywhere. Then, trim off those tails from earlier. One clip that way, and then I'm going to line up the bottom here, and I'm going to push the zipper out. And then clip it. And then move it up. Now it looks like it doesn't match, except it does, because we checked. So the zipper trying to be tricky again. So, this side, we're going to put one clip on this edge, and then we're going to push the zipper down, clip. Now whichever way you put the clips on will determine where you're going to start. I am going to start here, because all my clips are up, and then I can go 1, 2, 3, and we're all done. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So, you want to go slowly at the start of this, because we are going over zipper tape, and it can get a bit testy. I'm doing a 1/2 inch seam allowance, because it makes me comfortable to do that, and I'm going to go around and stitch a second line, just to ensure that it's extra strong. I mean, I am using extra strong thread, but if you're on a domestic, you'll definitely want to do the second line. But I also want to do it just to help prevent fraying if the recipient of this does end up putting it in the washing machine. I mean, if you can digitize, just if somebody's watching this and you guys can digitize, the running stitch, you should make it like a eucalyptus leaf. I did look, they didn't exist, which is why we ended up with the Monstera, because it's pretty. So now that I've done that, and I've definitely caught the zipper, because I was a bit worried about that, we're going to go and we're going to do another line. And again, I know it might just seem excessive, but this is one of those few times where I'm not going to cut off the excess, and I really don't want it to come off. You could also overlock it. If you own an overlocker, run and grab your overlocker. Or you could do a zigzag stitch on the very, very edge. That would help prevent fraying. It also is quilted, so like I'm fairly confident it'll be fine. But you also just never know, and so it's better to be safe than sorry. So the 2 lines of stitching are just for my peace of mind. Now, we've already got a little bit of a gap, but let's just say we didn't, right? Lots of people freak out when you haven't opened your zipper, right? Because you're like, oh no. All you have to do, I'm going to grab a pen because it's handy to me. Put a pen in the zipper in front of whichever one. See that tiny little gap? Just push your pen in and open it. And then pull them the other way. Now, if your zipper pull won't allow that, because I have had some zipper tape where it's a bit too tight, you just open it in front and then put your hand in and grab the zipper pull to open it. It has happened to me a few times where the zipper tape I use is not super user-friendly. Oh, this is such a chunky case. this is gonna sit nicely. So this should sit nicely even without a cushion in it. It just won't be as bulky. But you know how sometimes you get you get cushions and they're a bit saggy? I don't think this is gonna happen this time. I think this is gonna be amazing. And with turning stick, we have put the quilting all the way to the edge because I actually ran over the edge. So it looks really, really cool. And it's subtle. I did green because the person that's getting it, I'm pretty sure their favorite color is green. And I'm all about pleasing. But also because there is a lot of green in the pattern, so it does blend in nice and if I hold it here, you can still see the full design. It's only when you get really close up that you can kind of see it come through. I think it looks amazing. Right. Zip it up. I've got to get the zipper out. It's being a bit stubborn now. Ta-da! So that's going to sit. I still need to see how it hasn't fully turned out there. That's why we have turning sticks to shove at them. Awesome. Now it just needs a filler, but it is quite stiff and stands up very much by itself. Doesn't lean here because of the surface, but you get the idea. Also, if you wanted to, you could have top stitched this down. I am just looking at that now thinking that it should have maybe been a thing. You could probably choose to do it now if you really wanted to. Let's do that just in case. So I'm going to lift that up. I'm going to pop it under. And I can see the original stitches, so I can just pull this back and top stitch. It does mean that you're going to see this. So I mean, that's something to think about. But I do think it might help with it all sitting flusher. Where you might have a bigger issue is right at the end. Bring it around, top stitch it down. This is obviously doing it backwards, but if you forgot to top stitch rather than unpicking, this is a solution. This video accidentally turned into all the things you can do instead of, but whatever. So then we get close to the edge. I'm not going to try and turn it right on that seam because it's not going to work anyway, so why bother trying? And then we just come back to that bit, and then when we get back to the start, back stitch. Once you go through a few of the stitches. Okay, and now it doesn't sit up. See? Not the easiest way to do it. If you do want to pull it back, probably do it the first time. But it can be done at the end if you change your mind. Don't be afraid to change your mind about stuff. I also still need to iron it. You can still see my line grids on it. So I'm going to iron it now, put a cushion insert in it, and then I will show you the finished product. All right, we're all ironed, so the lines are now gone. I steam ironed it because it's the best. It's also got rid of that little line that you could see. So there's no creases anymore. And then this is a size 14 cushion insert I stole out of one of the cushions in my house. This will not be the one that I gift with this to the person, but I just don't have a spare one at the moment. Alright, so you can see it's being shoved in there a bit. Now if you wanted to, you could put two, make it super, super fluffy. But I'm actually pretty happy with that, just the way it is. So there is the cushion all done. So you can see it is sitting out, and I just think the quilting looks awesome. It's subtle and yet epic. I also really, really love this fabric. If I didn't think the other person I'm gifting it to would like it so much, I would keep it for myself. I also have to hide it from my child. He seems to like all the cushions I make and tries to like commandeer them all. But there you go, guys. That is super cute cushion. I will see you guys next time. Whoops. Bye.